that now. Forgive me, I have two screens going on, so I want to make sure that you're, nope, let me. Oh, looks like I lost something there. Let me try that again. All right, can everyone see the PowerPoint presentation? Wonderful. So thank you again. My name is Holly Porter. I am the Executive Director of the Delmarva Chicken Association, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today with our Eastern Shore delegation. Boy, a lot has changed. A lot has happened over the past year since we last met. First of all, we're no longer in person, we're meeting virtually. But second of all, as most people probably recognize, our name has changed. Last year, when I sat in front of you, I was part of the Delmarva Poultry Industry Incorporated. Now we are the Delmarva Chicken Association. Same great group, same great faces, and really same commitment in being the voice for our chicken community. We just really wanted to make sure that we were representing who we, or make sure that our name was representing who we are now and into the future. And we also wanted to update our logo to have that same sort of look that will take us now into the future. So just for those who may have missed that, I wanted to make sure that that was clear. And when I talk about our chicken community, again, there are really the family farms are really at the heart of that community. But this is a large community throughout our Delmarva. This is over 1,200 family farmers. This is 5 chicken companies. This is 18,000 employees. And this chicken community also includes our partners, such as universities, governments, allied businesses, our legislators, and sort of everyone in between. So it's a broad community in a lot of sense. Of course, a big part of that is the 5 companies that we have here on our Delmarva, and we are very grateful for that. There are many areas in the country that may only have 1 or 2 integrated companies working with growers, but we do have 5. We have Allen Harim, Amick Farms, Mount Air Farms, Purdue, and Tyson that work here within our Delmarva area. So these numbers are hot off of the press. I actually was just able to get them in this week to try to make sure that you had the latest 2020 numbers. And unfortunately, this is when we're starting to see where the impacts of COVID have occurred. So in 2020, we processed 570 million birds from Delmarva raised chickens. That number last year was 609 million. So again, we saw about a 39 million decrease, I'm sorry, of birds that was processed here.
Vegas, but
however, we did see one of the things
completely and have like 10 casinos around the country.
Sorry, I was hearing some background.
Valleys themselves.
Yeah, can we ask Nick, could you please mute Nick Manis?
Gotcha.
So we of those birds that was processed, 4.2 billion pounds of chicken was processed. That's about 1 billion pounds less than, or I'm sorry, 100 million pounds less than last year. And a lot of that reason is that even though we had less birds processed, we did have some birds that stayed in the houses longer. So they were bigger birds that were coming through those processing plants. We have 1,278 farm families that are raising those chickens. That is about a 47. There were 47 less than last year. At this point, we're still trying to find out if that is COVID specific or is that due to just basic regular retirement. I think those are still questions to look at. And when I say retirement, we have about a little over 5,000 chicken houses in 2020. And that is 78 less houses than was in 2019. Again, keep in mind that we have about a quarter of the chicken houses on Delmarva are 31 plus years old. So again, just trying to gauge whether or not those numbers are due to general retirement or if they are COVID specific. And then overall, our chicken GDP did decrease. We were at 3.5 billion in 2019, and this year we are at 3.3 billion for our GDP. Looking specifically at Maryland, you can see sort of the comparison, our bird capacity, and that's basically if every single chicken house in Maryland was full at one time, this is the amount of birds that would be in those houses. Of course, that never happens, but this just gives you an idea. And again, you can see that there was a slight decrease between 2019 and 2020. There was also a slight decrease in the number of chicken houses. Now, what you will see is there was actually a little bit of an uptick in the number of Maryland growers, although our Delmarva growers numbers had decreased. And again, I think some of that could be also just a shift between the states and where companies are prioritizing the growers that they're working with. And then finally, we talk often about the economics. And again, there's the numbers. This is a important community for jobs, specifically on Delmarva, especially when you look at both the supplier and induced numbers of over 9,000 jobs. Wages, again, these are good wage earning jobs. They're not minimum wage, they're above minimum wage. And you'll also see that the companies, these are for both the companies and their employees, put a lot back into our tax system, both at the federal level as well as the state and local tax level as well. So rather than just comparing year over year, I also want to make sure that we take a look at the trends, because I think that's really important. We've heard many of our critics say over and over again how there's this dramatic growth, runaway growth, whatever adjective you want to use. And when you look at the number of chickens that were produced over the past 30 years, those numbers don't add up. It's just not there. As a matter of fact, we were producing more chickens in 1995 than we are today. And of course, a lot has changed since 1995 in the rules, the regulations, the way our farms are built, and everything. So, again, it's hard to talk about this runaway growth when that's simply just not the case. And we're doing this with less chicken houses. So again, from 1995 to 2020, there was about a 20% decrease in the number of chicken houses that we were growing birds in. Yes, there was some growth between 2010 and 2020. Again, keep in mind those numbers that I told you, that about a quarter of our houses are over 31 years of age. But even that growth in that 10-year span was about a 7% growth if you take it from 2010 to 2020. And then, of course, our number of growers is definitely declining. So really and truly, between the number of birds processed, houses, and growers, and then you take a look at the pounds of meat, in my mind, this is as sustainable as it gets. This is us doing more with less. This is us using more of the birds and making sure that we get every ounce of meat. This is us gaining a lot of efficiencies, grain efficiencies, feed efficiencies. Birds are living longer than they were in 1990s. We don't have some of the health issues because of the houses, again, being better houses, better built. And so we're doing a lot more with less. This is where I want to just again touch on the third leg of our three-legged stool. We often talk about our grain farmers being such an important piece to this chicken community, and they really are. Our company has spent nearly $1 billion in feed, with the vast majority of that being right here, purchased from our farmers in the Delmarva and really all of the Maryland region, even in the Western Shore areas as well too. We buy every kernel of corn and every bit of soybeans that we can to use for our chicken industry. And you'll see that the payments to our chicken growers has continued to increase and continued to rise as well too. And again, I think that that's extremely important, because we know the cost in being a chicken farmer have gone up. Those costs to make sure that you're getting proper stormwater management, that you're adding the building the houses. It's about $350,000 per chicken house to build a chicken house nowadays, and that doesn't include the land. So again, we have to make sure that those payments are rising as well as the cost. I'm going to switch gears a minute and talk about a couple projects that we've actually accomplished in 2020. One of those ones is our ambient air monitoring. So this time last year, when I shared information with the committee, We were just in the process of getting the 2 new stations located on our lower shore. When COVID hit, we really weren't sure what was going to happen, but I have to say I was really pleased that MDE stepped up and was able to get the stations in place and get monitoring started. And so starting in April, we've been gathering data of our 4 points. Again, one in Old Town, which is in Baltimore City area, one in Horn Point, one in Princess Anne, and one in Pocomoke City. And again, I've shared the website where you can actually go and see near real live data of what's being monitored at those. And you can also see summaries, month-to-month summaries, as well as year-to-date summaries on what has been gathered at those stations as well, too. So the 2 lower stations that we had put up, one was in Pocomoke City area, which is where we do see a concentration of broiler farms. Within the 1 mile radius, there's about 29 houses. The 2 mile radius is another 70 houses. And then if you go beyond that, you can see that there are a number of other chicken houses within that area. So again, a very concentrated area of chicken farms. And then in the Princess Anne area, there's much less. We don't have any farms within the 1 mile radius. We have about 7 chicken houses in the 2 mile, and then a few other houses outside of the 2 mile radius as well, too. So this is a summary of information that has been gathered from April through December. And again, you can take a look at the 4 points. So this is for PM 2.5, particulate matter 2.5. Again, this is one of those indicators that is often talked about when we talk about air quality and health purposes. And keep in mind that with PM 2.5 and PM 10, there are national ambient air quality standards. So these are standards that have been set by EPA. This is the threshold that the state is constantly measuring on and looking at. So the standard for PM 2.5 is 35. Don't ask me what that part is. We'll just stick with the 35. And if you take a look at our average and our median, the numbers are really well in line in all areas. Again, Horn Point's a very rural area with not a lot around it. But if you take a look at, again, Old Town, Baltimore City compared to Princess Anne and Pocomoke City, the numbers are all really well in line. The maximum, so this is the absolute maximum from April to December, we actually are seeing higher rates in our city area than we're seeing in our rural areas. So that's for the PM 2.5. This is for PM 10. This is considered the particulate matter 10, or not fine particulate matter. I'm losing my track, but again, same thing. It's one of those that's also a precursor for health purposes. Again, there's a standard for it that's set at the 150 level. And again, you can see that our numbers are pretty much right in line and with other areas, and nowhere near the 150 level, even at the Whoop. Can you hear me? It appears I was almost muted there. Can everyone still hear me?
Yes, Holly.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
Holly,
I know you can't
Yes.
see me, and I'm not going to pretend to. Oh, here we go. Let me try
we
start.
can hear you.
All right. I'm going to leave my video off because it appears the host has taken my video off, and that's okay. You don't need to see my face. So I will continue on. So again, this is PM 10. Now let's take a look at ammonia, because again, that's the one that has been the important issue. There we go. Now I'm back on. So again, let me just clarify something very important here. There is no national ambient air monitoring or standards set by EPA for ammonia. So the number that you see here was a number that MDE, they took a look at several different thresholds that are out there, and you can find all of this on the website that I mentioned as to what their thinking was. But again, there's no standard, no regulation in place for that, but they chose the 350 parts per billion. Again, if you take a look, you can see that the average and the median really are well below those numbers, and pretty much pretty close to one another. Princess Anne and Old Town are pretty close to one another. You do see within the Princess Anne and the Pocomoke City area where there were some maximum hourly values that did increase. And again, still nowhere near that 350 parts per billion. And even with that area, we also know that in particular in Princess Anne, some of those spikes occurred within about a day or two after commercial fertilizer had been applied on a field right next to where the monitoring station is. So again, there's a lot of things that cause ammonia in the air. And, you know, again, we know that there's ammonia that is emitted from chicken farms. There was never a question of that. It's just a matter of taking a look at this and saying, is there a health concern? At this point, this is just data that's being gathered. We did not do a complete study, but at this point in time with the data that's being gathered, we're not seeing that health concern, and neither is MDE at this point either. I will share that we are in talks to continue the studies, hopefully for another year, to keep the monitoring stations up for another year and to gather even more data as well too. I'm going to switch gears to one more thing that, again, I came and I talked to you about this time last year, which was our PMT and the commitment that the chicken community had to moving the PMT, the phosphorus management tool, forward. And I said then when I talked to you that, again, we've heard of farmers who are looking for litter. We know there are growers that have litter, and somewhere along the way, folks weren't connecting. And I committed that we were going to work on that. And this is exactly what we've done over the past year. At the end of December, or at the beginning of January, we rolled out a litter app, LITTR, that is literally like a match.com for litter. It is a place where farmers can go and say, hey, I have litter to sell, and where grain farmers can go and say, hey, I'm looking for litter. This was a great project. It was we worked with the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation to get a grant in order to work on this. We also partnered with our Delmarva Land and Litter Collaborative. We partnered again with the Campbell Foundation, and we partnered with an outside group to develop the app. I have no idea how to develop an app, and the best part was our app designers had no idea about litter. So you can only imagine the fun that we had as we were working on this. I am pleased to say that, again, this app has been up and running for about a month. And at this point in time, we have nearly 200 registered users. We have over 20 listings. And we've already confirmed that we've had one person had a transaction because of the app. And I saw another listing pop up about 2 days ago where there was a farmer in the, I believe it's between Harford, Baltimore County area that's looking for 5,000 tons of litter. So again, we've said this many times that we know there are places and farmers that see the benefit of using litter, and there are places that are looking for it. And we're hoping again that this app is just one more way that, again, the chicken community stepped up. We said we were going to do something, and we've done it, and we'll continue to do that as well. The last thing that I'll talk about before we open it up for questions is just to mention some of the bills that right now we're supporting or those that we're in opposition to. It's really interesting. Usually when I come and talk to you, it's still early on and a lot of bills haven't been dropped yet. Of course, with everything being virtual, we know that has not been the case. So we actually do have a number of bills that we've already testified on or sent testimony in. For those that we've support, Senate Bill 344 is actually a MDA agency bill, and it would allow for specific cost share programs to potentially have 100% cost share, which we think is really important for meeting our WIP goals. We are in support with some sponsor amendments of the Clean Water Commerce Act, which again is really taking the funds from the flush tax as we know it that has been used for wastewater treatment centers and moving it into an area where we can see more funds up to 35% or more of those funds that would be used specific for agriculture, which again I think is really important. We are very supportive of House Bill 455 and Senate Bill 585. Again, Senator Carrozza, thank you very much for your work on that with our COVID-19 civil immunity. Again, we've said it time and time again, if we're doing what's right, if businesses are out there doing what they're supposed to do to protect their employees, protect their customers, then we should not see folks trying to have frivolous lawsuits. And finally, we are supportive with amendments of HB 92, which is to take a look at no longer allowing state funds to be used for invasive or non-native plants. Invasive plants, we absolutely agree on. Non-natives, we do have a little concern with, because technically miscanthus, which is a plant that's being used widely in our area for bedding purposes, would be considered a non-native. And so we do ask that that be removed in case farmers at some point may want to use cost share funds for that. So those are the bills that we support. Of course, we also have some opposition as well too. We've already put in opposition for HB 82, SB 151, the constitutional amendment on environmental rights. Again, we just have really grave concerns that that's just opening up the door for more frivolous lawsuits. We already have quite a public process when it comes to permitting for CAFOs. And I just honestly think this is really going to open up Pandora's box and is not going to really do what we would want it to do, which is truly to protect our environment. We also are opposed to HB 76 and SB 334, which in our minds opens up the opportunity for outside folks to go above and beyond MDE's enforcement actions on a business. And basically it would say that if MDE goes through enforcement and decides not to, whether the case falls through or there's not civil actions, that an outside group could come in and propose civil actions. And that's very concerning when it comes to additional lawsuits that could occur to our growers. At this point, we're in opposition of House Bill 455 and Senate Bill 585. I will say that we are working closely with the bill sponsor and are hopeful that we will have some additional thoughts and work on that bill. We are definitely in opposition of HB 472, which prohibits the use of, and I'm just going to use the common term, Roundup, and that's not good. Our grain farmers need to have that tool in the toolbox, and it would be devastating for those grain farmers, which means that would be devastating for our chicken community. Again, as I mentioned, we purchase $1 billion worth of feed every year. Finally, the license to produce hemp, HB 249 and SB 562. You may wonder why we oppose that. Right now, we're not using hemp with our chicken farms. But honestly, that bill, what it does is really open up the door to go above and beyond our right to farm. And that's really the bigger concern is we have very strong right to farm protections in the state of Maryland. We have a great mediation tool. All of our counties have great tools, and this bill in a lot of ways just circumvents that right to farm. And we have grave concerns that once we have folks that don't want or don't like the smell of hemp being produced, they're going to quickly turn to not liking the smell of chicken. And then finally, House Bill 581, Senate Bill 486. I know the House bill is being heard today. The Maryland Worker Protection Act is not we are very much opposed to that bill. And that really impacts every single one of our members. So some would say that's specific to just our chicken companies, but no, any of our farmers that have employees, any of our allied businesses that have been working, that have been essential, as they are in that essential category, to think that they would have to pay $3 per hour proactively back to March 16th in hazard pay, it's devastating. I mean, that's how we quickly shut down businesses. So again, we are very opposed to that. I believe I've tried to talk quickly about a lot of things, and I will open it up at this point for any questions.
Yeah. I really appreciate the time you had here. You know what, I'm going to make the first call to the speaker. I'm leaving the meeting, and my vice chair, Johnny Mounts, will be taking over. But I think the first hand up was Delegate Chris Adams, and you all have a great day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Holly, good to talk with you. Good to see you today. Thank you for the updates on your industry. I want to just touch on 581 really quick. This is a bill hearing. As you said, we're going to have an economic matters today. You know, our position, or my position surely, is that this is an onerous bill during a time of an emergency for businesses. I mean, we're just getting through the very worst of this COVID environment. And I thought I'd ask you the question about your thoughts on reading the bill, whether this bill looks like it was vetted, Do you think that the hazard pay is realistic under any circumstance? And how in the world will businesses actually operate? I mean, I think that the bill has verbiage and definitions that are vague in a legal sense, which means the bill is completely unworkable. I thought your thoughts on your read of this bill.
No, Delegate, I would absolutely agree. There was so much vagueness. I mean, I pointed to the hazard pay just to briefly mention that, which right there in itself is just in my mind absolutely devastating for the pandemic that we're in right now. When you add to it the impact or the loose definitions of what's an emergency. I mean, we had snow earlier this week. That's an emergency. Does that mean that again all businesses would now have to start paying hazard pay for that? When you look at some of the definitions as to what's an essential employer, what's an essential worker, the additional question about what's just considered an illness, what's considered an infectious illness. I mean, that's the common cold. So there are definitely a lot of language that just isn't clear. And I would have to agree that it really opens up a lot of concerns and a lot of questions, and how it would even be managed. I honestly don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of question too when you look at hazard pay. And keep in mind, again, our companies, during the beginning of this pandemic really stepped up with a lot of efforts, and especially our chicken companies, already have a lot of the health benefits worked in as well. But when you start talking about hazard pay with an emergency, and especially for a health emergency, you have to question, are we then encouraging people to come to work sick if we're going to pay them more? And that's a concern as well too. So, I think there's ways that we want to make sure, and let me be clear, employees are the number one aspect of any employer out there. I mean, as DCA, I have employees. My employees are the most important part of how, our jobs get done. I just believe that this bill goes well beyond, and with some of the questionable and the vagueness, I think it's extremely onerous. And I really don't know how any business, especially small businesses, would be able to do what's in that bill.
Well, let me take my last 20 seconds and applaud your industry and thank you, because your industry delivered during a very vulnerable time in our country. And one of your members, Purdue, I remember Randy Day being on a national broadcast television talking about how he and also the industry is going to step forward and make sure we feed America while we're going through this pandemic. And the truth be told, we did that. We should be applauding. We should be thanked. Your industry not sending a bill like this directly to you. And I'm speaking for myself, but I'm sure I'm reflecting your values on that. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, for a few minutes there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Delegate Adams. Now I've got the virtual gavel, everybody. This is the Delmarva Chicken Association. This is your opportunity. We're on a little bit of a time schedule, but we got a couple minutes if anybody else has a question. Question going once, question going twice. No questions. Holly, thank you very much for taking the time to join us this morning. It's great to see you and give our best to everybody at the association.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. And thank you again for everything that all of you are doing during this challenging legislative session. And know that, again, my phone is always on. I think most everyone has my cell phone. So feel free to give me a call at any time if you need anything from me.
Thank you. Up next on the agenda for today, we've got the Maryland LEAD program. And the Maryland LEAD program is being presented by Debbie Simpkins. I believe I've got that correct. And we've got three alumni of the program to present to us today: Allison Cerna, Evan Mills, and Hannah Cawley, I believe. So Debbie, are you guys on this call and available to do a little presentation for us?
Yes, we are. And thank you very much for the invitation to speak with you today. Appreciate it. And I'll call on Allison first.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning. Thank you again for giving us this opportunity to speak with you. My name is Allison Cerna, and I'm from Worcester County. I am a pedigree production manager for Cobb Vantris, which is a broiler breeding company owned by Tyson Foods. I'm also a member of the Delmarva Chicken Association, and I am actually in the current LEAD class. LEAD Maryland is a 2-year fellowship program for emerging agricultural leaders. Each class consists of approximately 20 to 25 carefully selected individuals from various areas of agriculture. One of the great features of LEAD is that these fellows also represent a wide range of ages. So you have an opportunity to interact with individuals that are early on in their careers and others that have spent many years in it. The program meets roughly every other month over these 2 years for 3 to 4 day seminars that cover topics in all aspects of agriculture, as well as provide public issues education, skill building, and leadership development. We meet all over the state of Maryland. Thus far, my class has met in Baltimore County, Frederick County, Southern Maryland, Annapolis, and the Upper and Lower Shore, as well as several other locations. In Annapolis, some of our time was spent learning about the legislative process and how to lobby for bills. We also spoke with some of our Maryland senators regarding service leadership, met with the Speaker of the House and the Senate President, and were able to shadow an individual of our choice for a day. I was fortunate enough to shadow Cassie Shirk from the Maryland Department of Agriculture. Our visit to the Lower Shore was also one of my favorites because I was able to learn more about the poultry industry and the different components of it that affect my segment. We visited a broiler farm, a commercial hatchery, Purdue's Innovation Center, an agribusiness, Mount Ayres processing plant, as well as several other places. This program has been an incredible opportunity to learn more about agricultural industries that impact my industry, but also to explore other areas of agriculture that I knew very little about. I've also experienced immense personal growth and gained confidence as a leader. These few minutes are truly not enough to convey all the amazing benefits of this program. I'm certain I can speak on behalf of the class when I say that I have met individuals that will be lifelong friends and allies that I can call on whenever needed, whether it be business related or just to get a coffee with. State funding supports programs like the Maryland Agricultural Education and Rural Development Assistance Fund and the Maryland Rural Council, the Maryland Department of Agriculture, and the University of Maryland Extension, which in turn support the LEAD Maryland Foundation and ultimately the LEAD Fellowship Program. So again, I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to speak with you today and your support in the past and hopefully the future. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them. And if not, I will turn it over to Evan Miles.
Thank you, Allison. Appreciate the introduction there. Good morning, everybody. See a lot of familiar faces this morning. Nice to see everybody. Appreciate the opportunity to come speak before the delegation and former colleagues and some colleagues in agriculture. My name is Evan Miles. I'm a farmer in Queen Anne's County. We currently till 3,000 acres in the county, growing corn, wheat, soybeans, some sweet corn and peas outside of Chestertown in North Queen Anne's County. Also, University of Delaware college graduate with a Bachelor of Science degree in Food and Agribusiness Management, U.S. Navy veteran, and LEAD Maryland Class 8 alumni. I can't say enough about LEAD Maryland. I went through the program in between 2013 and 2015. Program was a great experience. When I got back from the service in 2007, I kept hearing about this program, LEAD Maryland, and knew some colleagues and other agriculture leaders and rural leaders in the county and throughout the state that kept recommending I attended, and I thought it was a great opportunity. Glad that I did it. We went all throughout the state and met tons of people, learned a lot about agriculture, learned a lot about rural development and economic development, went to Annapolis, went to Washington, D.C., was able to go to South Africa for about 10 days. And like Allison said, the alumni in the group and in my class, they're like a small family, and camaraderie and brotherhood, sisterhood, that sort of thing. Great experience. LEAD Maryland has helped me grow tremendously as a leader. I've expanded my leadership potential tremendously. I've learned how to public speak better, be able to come do presentations like this. I've took on a number of roles as well as and joined some boards. So just a couple of the boards that I joined in the past since I graduated in 2015. Chesapeake Fields Farmers Cooperative Board member, Kent County Young Professionals Board member, Maryland Grain Producers Utilization Board member, Maryland Grain Producers Association President, Chesapeake College Foundation Board member, and National Corn Growers Association Action Team member. And without the experience that I had in lead and the fellowship and the tremendous presentations and learning that the program put together, I would never have the confidence or courage to do any of this stuff. And I've been to Annapolis a couple times, talked to a couple different committees about Maryland Grain Producers Association, and obviously nervous wreck beforehand, but I was able to take on that and come out of it with a good feeling and met a lot of people. And so without lead, I would never be able to do that. And also it's helped expand our farming operation as well because of the networking in the group. There's so many different people in different occupations that have joined lead that I can call on any of these people and they can call on me as well at any point in time, and we can help each other out or at least point somebody in the right direction. And so I'm hoping that Lee continues to help me grow as leader and helps these new class members and future class members grow as leaders and have the courage to be able to stand up and take on leadership in Maryland in agriculture. I mean, we need it. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk to the delegation this morning, and I appreciate everybody's time. And at the end, I'll take questions if anybody has any. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan. Hannah, are you on this Zoom meeting?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, and thank you for having me today to speak on behalf of Lead Maryland. My name is Hannah Cawley, Class 6 graduate of the Lead Maryland program. I was born and raised on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, residing in Caroline County. I live in Denton with my husband, Matt, and 2 young children, ages 8 and 5. I farm full-time with my family, growing grain, vegetables, and poultry. We are most known for our machine-harvested cucumbers, as we grow 800 to 1,000 acres each summer. If you've eaten a jar of pickles, there's a good chance it came from our farm. I worked on the farm while attending college, and not too long after graduating, the Lead Maryland opportunity came my way. I was anxious to apply and get accepted, as I firmly believed it was the perfect time to complete the program. At the first seminar, I found out quickly I was one of the youngest fellows of our class, but as time passed, we became one big family. My lead mom, who I call, was one of the most extroverted ones in the class. She became my roommate on the international trip, with me being the most introverted ones of the class. The benefits of going through Lead's 2-year program still resonate even a decade after graduating. Having the experience to travel across the great state, learn the diverse agriculture from east to west, and develop personal and professional skills needed for work and life situations was unparalleled. I feel so strongly about Lead Maryland's program that I've continued to be involved, sitting on the board of directors and many other committees, including the Alumni Committee. The Alumni Committee organizes many events for continuing education and networking opportunities for our alumni. The Lead experience does not end at graduation. In fact, a year ago, a group of 13 Lead Maryland alumni and family members went to California. It was a fantastic trip that I went on, which began and San Francisco and ended in Los Angeles. Along the way, we were able to get an insider's view on California's agriculture, including Blue Diamond almonds, Sun-Made raisins, Producers Dairy, and the World Ag Expo. The experiences from growing up on a family farm, getting a college degree, and being a Lead Maryland graduate has led me to where I am today. I play a significant role on our family farm. Now I am completing most of the paperwork, record keeping, and nutrient management plan that's needed for each year. I also operate most of the farm equipment, including my own cucumber harvester, and most recently, a self-propelled 90-foot sprayer. That itself has been quite a learning curve. In addition, this year I will be taking on the primary role of making the daily decisions on our cucumber operation, from planting, spraying, irrigating, harvesting, and much more. In addition, my husband and I have 120 acres of our own. We call ourselves the Weekend Warriors, as we work on the family farm during the week and farm our own land on nights and weekends. As you can tell, the family farm runs deep into my roots. Family farms make up 96% of all farms in Maryland. I am here today to extend the invitation of visiting a farm, getting to know your farmer, and ask questions. Allie, Evan, and I, along with any other Lead Maryland fellow, would be glad to assist you in future decision-making and potentially before putting policy into place. I would say regulations ranks highest as far as our challenges in agriculture. When new policy is put into place and more regulations are enforced, it affects Maryland's farms, whole families, their livelihoods, and their wallets. I hope you reach out and ask for our insight, thoughts, and expertise, and then ask yourself, how will this affect Maryland's farm families? I very much appreciate your time today and appreciate your dedication to our state. Thank you for supporting the Lead Maryland program. And if you or anyone you know would be interested in applying for the next class, please let us know. Unless you have any other questions, at this time, we would like to share a short video clip with more information about our great program. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah, Allison, Evan, and Debbie. Is the video ready to roll? Yeah.
It's amazing when you start talking to someone and you mention you're in Lead Maryland, it just opens the door, whether they were in class 1 or they're in class 7. I mean, everyone understands and appreciates Lead and know what that means. And I think it's just been amazing.
It gets you to, to see the bigger picture that, you're not just picking tomatoes, you're not just picking up eggs, you're not driving kids around on hay rides, you've got, a bigger role, a bigger part to play. A lot of times farming, you kind of work with a core group of people that are family or employees. And Lead has encouraged us and taught us how to work with a larger group and how to reach people that maybe aren't in the same, field of thinking as we are. That's probably been the most eye-opening part of my experience is the diversity of the people that you meet. That's been probably the best part of the experience for me.
It's been a recurring theme throughout our Lead seminars that there does tend to be somewhat of a struggle or a challenge in bridging different communities. And Maryland is such an example of that because we do have a strong, vibrant agricultural community, but we also are right here outside of Washington, D.C. We have a large population base. We have the Chesapeake Bay and a lot of environmental topics coming up.
So I wanted to come in here and see how to bridge that gap between certain types of production or certain types of agriculture. And I've met so many people that have really opened my eyes more to what I thought the challenges were to begin with.
I think there's a lot of momentum in all of our different fields around things that need to change. And a lot of that takes heavy lifting and heavy work. And I think
relationship building makes that process easier when you trust the people that you're in a room with.
And so being with this group for 2 years, you really get to know them and the richness of their lives, their families, their jobs, and then really see what they have to offer, because I think everyone has something rich to offer this program.
And when we come together as a group, we bring together our strengths. As a group, we are a strong dynamic force. As individuals, we only know a piece of the pie, but all together, we're really something to be reckoned with.
Well, that's the great part of agriculture. We put communities first, and we're able to work together and work as a team to do great things and to help each other so that we can make agriculture better as a whole and make communities better.
And we've seen that time and time again throughout our lead seminars, whether we're in Dorchester County or in Washington, D.C. or in Western Maryland. We continue to have conversations about the really diverse communities within Maryland and how all of us can play a role in providing science-based information and really speaking on behalf of our industry to make sure that the agriculture industry continues to thrive here in Maryland. Thank you so much.
Okay, that was fantastic, and thank you. This is a terrific organization. We're short on time, but we have a little bit of time for a couple questions. Delegate Hornberger's up first. Delegate Hornberger.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I just want to say hats off to the graduates. I mean, that is a major milestone in your life and professional career. And I just wanted to add, as proof testament of how successful this program is, we have a couple other leaders who are actually on this call that are also graduates. I know of at least Matt Defoe and Zach Evans were both in class 9. If there's any other graduates, I think we should give them a shout out as well if you're on the call, because this is proof positive that this is not only helping people with their farming business, but you are creating leaders by graduating this class. So it was just more of a comment, Mr. Vice Chair, and congratulations to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Hornberger, and I think those sentiments are unanimous throughout the delegation. So does anyone else have a question for any of our representatives from Lead Maryland or Debbie? Going once, going twice. This is not an auction. I just like doing that. So 3 times. So no more questions. Thank you very much. It's great to have you, and thank you for all that you're doing with Lead Maryland. It's a wonderful organization. Today is the last day for us to get our bills in the House in the hopper. So I know a lot of people are scrambling, but we do have some other people on the meeting today. We've got representatives from our congressional delegation, and we've got some time for any special recognition. So let's start with the representatives from the federal delegation. If you have anything you'd like to share with us.
Sure. Hi, this is Melissa from Senator Van Hollen's office. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair. I appreciate the opportunity. First, I want to offer condolences to Delegate Hartman on the loss of his mother. I don't believe he's on the call today, but our thoughts are with him. You saw that the budget resolution passed very early in the wee hours this morning. I'm sure Kim was going to comment. I'm sorry if I stole your thunder. I wanted to let you know that Senator Van Hollen had a committee reassignment. He is no longer on Environment and Public Works. He is now on Foreign Affairs. That's the only committee that changed. So he will remain on Appropriations, Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs, and the Budget Committee. You may have seen, I know there were some concerns about the Postal Service. The Democratic congressional delegation sent a letter to DeJoy this week, sending specific instances. This was led by Senator Van Hollen. Senator Cardin was on it as well. Instances of delays with veteran medications, et cetera. They have requested that Mr. DeJoy explains where the $10 billion went that was provided to them at the beginning of the CARES Act. And they've asked for that by February 28th. They've also asked for him to return to the standards from 2012, which can reinstate overnight delivery, will hopefully shorten the delivery times. And then last, I'll add, the senator will be the speaker on a Mako town hall Monday morning at 10 a.m. If anybody's able to join, we would love to have you. So good luck today. Thanks for letting me speak.
Melissa, thank you. Kim Crabb.
Ditto all of those announcements except for the Senator Cardin and the Mako town hall. But we are hearing as we mentioned last week about the U.S. Postal Service. So that letter we'll keep you posted on the response from that. But I'll put contact information. Most of you know where to find me in the chat area, but feel free to reach out with any federal concerns.
Thank you. Yeah, do not let off the Postal Service. Mike, Congressman Harris, are you on the call? Are you on this meeting? Anyone from Congressman Harris's office? It appears not. Melissa did mention Delegate Hartman and the things he's going through personally. So we'd all like to probably just take a moment of silence for Wayne, for Delegate Hartman and his family.
Mm-hmm.
May God be with them. And any other special, anything else for the good of the order for anyone on the Zoom call that would like to? Yes,
Hey,
Delegate Hornberger.
Mr. Vice Chair, I'd like to make a motion to the treasurer that we get something for Wayne for the passing of his mom. Is that something we could do?
Do we get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Yeah, I've been texting with him, and he's on his way to the service now in Perry Hall. So he's having a tough day.
Yeah, it's been a time.
Do we know right now what we want to do, or is that something we should figure out and vote to authorize the expenditure, and then maybe do a online vote on Monday morning, or maybe later today after
That works.
everybody has a chance, and then execute it that way?
Yeah, usually, Delegate Mounds, usually this is Eckert here. Usually we have the treasurer and the chair go ahead and take care of that. So.
And Delegate Mouse, it's usually like a piece of or a flower or something that we try to give to the family as well.
Right.
With those instructions in mind, those instructions and guidelines, we've got a motion and we've got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
I'll get right to work on it.
Thank you, Delegate Hornberger. So we got a busy day ahead of us. Everybody has hearings and a lot of commitments. Senator Eckert has something to add. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you very much. And I just want to say, if everybody would check their chat, you probably already have, but we have a number of our members participating with us today who are lead member graduates. So check out that chat, and kudos to each one of them, because when you look at that lineup, they are the leadership for agriculture on the Eastern Shore and throughout the state. So very impressive program, and thank you very much. And I would just echo everybody's concerns about the mail. I mean, I really wish it would go back to localized, because too many people who've gotten penalties because their bills haven't been paid. And it's just beyond repair, I think, but we need intervention. Thank you.
And Charlotte Davis, thank you, Senator Eckert. I have Charlotte Davis with the Rural Maryland Council who'd like to.
Good morning. Real quickly, I just wanted to let everybody be aware that next Thursday, February 11th, is Rural Maryland Day. So we'll be having folks come around. This is virtual. So all of them will be doing a rural caucus meeting at 9 a.m. that day. We'll be sending out the information with Delegate Otto, Delegate Ahrens. So legislators, please plan to join us then. We'll have appointments throughout the morning. And then again at 12, from 12:30, we'll have a short presentation of the proclamation from the governor. So please, everybody join us. And the registration link is in the chat box. And thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. And Steve McHenry's raised his hand. Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Just wanted to quickly update you on funding $3.5 million in the Relief Act that Senator Eckert last weekend played a key role in getting for our agricultural and rural businesses. So we have placed a priority on the forest products industry and the livestock processing industry, but there is also funding for chicken litter, manure spreading, oyster and urban farmers, and other things in the bill. So we really want to thank Senator Eckert and the Senate, and of course the House will be acting on that here very shortly. So just wanted you to be aware of that.
Thank you, Steve. And we're running on the 10 o'clock hour, and I think that just about wraps us up. So I'll do it going once
Mr.
for.
Vice Chairman, real quick. Why don't we cover this business real quick? Apparently, Delegate Hartman's family is asking for a donation to the Alzheimer's Association in lieu of flowers. So if that happens, just know that's at the request of the family.
Great.
Thank you. So going once, we're going to wrap this up. I got to move the gavel pretty quickly. Going twice. It is Super Bowl Sunday. We want to wish everybody a terrific weekend and a productive rest of the day. Going times. And do we have a motion to adjourn? Anybody?
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody's
Aye.
smiling. That's terrific.
It's Friday.
Thank you all for the support. This is the first time I've been in the virtual gavel. It's a little crazy. So anyway, have a great day. Thank you. And thank you for all of our participants.
Have a great day.